You know that moment when you realize your whole marriage has been one big joke? Yeah, I'm living in that reality right now. I'm Brexley, 32, and let me tell you how I went from thinking I had this perfect little life to watching my husband basically ghost our entire marriage and leave the country. Like, who even does that? It's wild looking back at how normal everything seemed at first. Jeff and I met at our old office job 5 years ago. Total workplace romance cliche, I know. He was actually my supervisor's assistant back then, and I worked in client relations. We were that couple everyone thought would make it, you know? Got married after 2 years, moved into this okay-ish apartment complex off Milton Road. Nothing fancy, but we were making it work. Or at least I thought we were. The first red flag I probably should have seen was how Jeff started getting all weird about money. Like, we weren't broke, but our combined income barely covered rent, car payments, and keeping up with basic life stuff. I'm talking living paycheck to paycheck, using credit cards for groceries sometimes, that whole mess. But instead of trying to move up at work or find a better job like a normal person, Jeff got this wild idea about teaching himself IT or coding or whatever through these online courses. So picture this. I'm coming home from a full day of dealing with entitled clients, and instead of having actual quality time with my husband, he's glued to his laptop with these stupid headphones on, watching videos about programming. He'd be like, "Babe, this could change everything for us. I could work remote, make way more money." Meanwhile, I'm ordering DoorDash again because apparently it's too much to ask for a husband who can help make dinner when his wife's been working all day. And don't even get me started on the passport thing. One random Tuesday, he tells me he renewed his passport, just out of nowhere. I didn't think much of it at the time because, hello, I already had mine from that Cancun trip with the girls last summer. But looking back, major sus. Things really started going downhill when he picked up extra hours at work on top of his little online classes. He'd come home even later, barely say 2 words to me, then park himself in front of that laptop again. The apartment started feeling like a prison, just me, watching Netflix alone on the couch, scrolling through Instagram while my husband basically turned into a ghost who lived in our spare room. The worst part? Our friends. Well, my friends started noticing too. Whenever we'd manage to go out, which got rarer and rarer, Jeff would just sit there, looking exhausted, barely contributing to the conversation. Ashley, my best friend since college, pulled me aside one night and was like, "Brex, what's up with Jeff? He seems different." And she wasn't wrong. I tried talking to him about it at first. I really did. I'd ask about his day, and he'd give me these one-word answers. Or he'd start rambling about some coding problem he was stuck on. Like, I'm supposed to care about that? Meanwhile, our credit card debt kept climbing because apparently these IT courses weren't free, and Jeff insisted they were an investment in our future. Whatever that means. The breaking point wasn't even some big dramatic moment. It was just this slow realization that I was living with someone who was turning into a completely different person. The guy who used to plan cute date nights was now spending his evenings watching tutorials about Java or Python or whatever. The man who used to make me laugh was now constantly stressed about money and career growth. Like, I get wanting to better yourself or whatever, but there's a difference between self-improvement and completely checking out of your marriage. And that's exactly what Jeff was doing. Checking out. He was physically there, sure, in his same spot at his desk every night, but mentally, he might as well have been on another planet. I started dreading coming home. Started taking longer routes back from work, grabbing coffee with coworkers just to avoid walking into that depressing apartment. And Jeff? He didn't even notice. Or if he did, he was too caught up in his little computer world to say anything about it. That's when Kyle started at our office. 26, fresh out of some state college, with this energy that just made everyone feel alive, you know? At first, it was just innocent stuff, catching up by the coffee machine, laughing at his jokes during team meetings. Nothing major. Jeff and I barely talked anymore anyway, so what was the harm in having someone actually notice me for once? Kyle would bring me coffee sometimes, remembered how I liked it, iced caramel macchiato, extra shot, which was more than I could say for Jeff lately. We started doing lunch breaks together and I felt seen again. Like, actually seen. Not just someone's checked out wife who apparently wasn't worth proper dinner or conversation anymore. I know what you're thinking, classic office affair story, right? But it wasn't like that. Sure, we texted outside work hours, but it was mostly memes and funny TikToks. Okay, maybe some gym selfies too, but that's just normal these days. It's not like anything physical ever happened. It was just nice. Nice to feel that spark again, to have someone look at me like I was interesting and not just this burden holding them back from their big tech dreams. Then came that night that changed everything. Jeff actually came home early for once, which should have been nice, right? Instead, he sits me down and starts unloading all this heavy emotional stuff. Going on about how he feels like a failure, how the money problems are eating him alive, how he's stressed about everything, like full on almost crying. I tried to be supportive. I really did. But something just switched off in me. You know that ick feeling you get when a guy just gives off desperate vibes? Yeah, that hit me hard. Here's my husband, supposed to be the strong one, just trauma dumping all over me after barely speaking to me for months. All I could think about was Kyle's confident smile and how he never brought his problems to work. I sat there nodding, saying all the right things like, "It's gonna be okay, and we'll figure it out." But inside, I was cringing. Jeff must have sensed it because he just kind of stopped talking. Went back to his laptop like nothing happened. But that moment, that was when I knew things were really over. I called Ashley right after, while Jeff was in the shower. She got it immediately. "Girl," she said, "no woman wants to be someone's therapist. You need a man, not a project." My other friends said the same thing, how they could never be with someone who dumped their depression on them like that. Kenzie even shared how her ex did the same thing, and how leaving him was the best decision she ever made. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Jeff wasn't just stressed. He was bringing me down with him. Here I was, still young, still hot. I'd actually lost 10 pounds since Kyle started encouraging me to hit the gym, and I was stuck playing emotional support human to someone who couldn't even handle basic life stuff. That night, while Jeff was doing his usual zombie routine with his courses, I started looking up divorce lawyers on my phone. Something inside me was sure that the threat of losing me would wake him up. Make him realize he needed to man up and get his act together. I mean, that's how it works, right? Guy realizes he's about to lose his wife, suddenly remembers how to be the person she fell in love with. I had no idea I was about to learn exactly how wrong I was about everything. Filing for divorce was supposed to be this big, dramatic moment. I even dressed up cute to drop the papers on the kitchen counter, so he'd remember what he was losing. I had this whole speech prepared about how I deserved someone who could match my energy, and how I was tired of carrying the emotional weight of this marriage. Lines I'd practiced in the mirror after one too many wine nights with Ashley. But Jeff, he barely looked up from his laptop, just nodded, said okay, and kept typing. Okay? Okay? 5 years of marriage and that's all I get? I stood there waiting for something. Tears, begging, promises to change, literally anything other than the sound of his mechanical keyboard clicking away. I moved in with Ashley that weekend, into her cute downtown apartment. Posted a whole Instagram story about starting my new chapter, with Taylor Swift's Clean playing in the background. Real subtle. Jeff didn't even watch it. Actually, come to think of it, he'd been slowly muting all my social media for months. I just hadn't noticed until I was actively trying to get his attention. That's when I really started stepping up my social media game. Gym progress pics, posted. Girls' night out, tagged at the trendy spots. Motivational quotes about knowing your worth, shared them all. I even posted this thirst trap of me in my new workout set with some caption about leveling up that got like 200 likes. Kyle liked it within 2 minutes. Meanwhile, Jeff was just existing. Still going to work, still doing his little coding courses. But something was different. He started selling our shared stuff without even asking me. The TV we bought together, our matching living room set, even the fancy coffee maker I'd left behind. When I confronted him about it, he just calmly said he was simplifying his life and sent me my half of the money through Venmo. The weirdest part? He seemed lighter, like our apartment was getting emptier, but he was acting like he was getting rid of weights instead of furniture. He even started going to the gym himself, but not the fancy one I went to with Kyle, some basic chain gym near our place. Ashley kept telling me to stay strong, that he was probably dying inside and just hiding it well. Men do this, she said. They act all unbothered until they break. But weeks went by and Jeff wasn't breaking. He wasn't drunk texting me at 2 a.m., wasn't liking my old photos, wasn't doing any of the sad ex-husband things he was supposed to do. I even tried the jealousy angle, making sure mutual friends mentioned Kyle around him, posted this super cute photo of me and Kyle at office happy hour, captioned it, "Sometimes life surprises you with exactly what you need." 37 mutual friends liked it. Jeff wasn't one of them. The divorce proceedings were moving forward, and Jeff wasn't fighting me on anything. He didn't argue about asset splits or try to take more than his share. He just agreed to everything. It was infuriating. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He was supposed to realize what he was losing. He was supposed to fight for me. He was supposed to finally step up and be the man I needed him to be. But that's not even the craziest part. No, the real plot twist was just around the corner, and I didn't even see it coming. I was doing my usual night routine. Face mask on, scrolling through social media, cyber-stalking my soon-to-be ex through our mutual friend's posts since he'd gone almost completely dark online. That's when I saw it. This random comment on our old college friend Matt's post. "Can't wait to visit you in the Philippines, bro. Proud of you for landing that remote gig." At first I thought Matt was talking to someone else. Had to be, right? But no. There was Jeff in the comments, talking about time zones and about how his new company had a work-from-anywhere policy. The same Jeff who'd been studying every night wasn't just learning some random coding stuff. He'd been interviewing for jobs. International jobs. The passport renewal suddenly made way too much sense. I went full detective mode. It turns out, while I was busy posting thirst traps and trying to make him jealous, Jeff had been quietly building a whole escape plan. Those extra hours at work, he was using that money for his coding boot camp. All those late nights, some of them were actually job interviews with companies in different time zones. I literally felt sick. Called Ashley at 1 a.m. crying. He's moving to the Philippines? Like the actual Philippines? Who even does that? She tried to comfort me, saying he was obviously having a mental breakdown or a midlife crisis. Called him a passport bro, and said he'd probably be back in 6 months when he realized he couldn't handle living in a developing country. But the more I dug, the more I realized this wasn't some impulse decision. Jeff had been planning this for months, maybe even before I filed for divorce. He joined all these digital nomad Facebook groups, had been learning about international banking, had even started selling most of his stuff because he'd apparently already found an apartment over there. The next day at work, I couldn't even focus. Kyle kept trying to show me funny memes, but all I could think about was Jeff literally leaving the country. Like, not just moving across town or to another state, actually leaving the continent. I went through our entire relationship in my head, looking for signs. Had he always wanted this? Was this why he seemed so unbothered by the divorce? I made the mistake of venting to our old friend group chat, the one Jeff was still in but never posted in. Sent this whole paragraph about how some people will do anything to run away from their problems, and how real men stay and fight for their marriages. You know what this man did? Left the group chat without a word. Just poof, gone. The worst part? Some of our friends actually seemed happy for him. Started liking and commenting on his posts that I couldn't even see anymore. Rachel, who I thought was my friend first, even posted this long status about how inspiring it was to see people bet on themselves and chase their dreams, obviously about Jeff. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for him to reveal this was all some elaborate plan to make me jealous. I mean, that would make sense, right? That's what I would do. But as the weeks went by and more details emerged, it became clear that Jeff wasn't playing any games. He was actually doing it. Actually planning to move across the world. And that's when I realized I might have seriously miscalculated this whole situation. I did what any rational person would do. I completely freaked out. Called my lawyer at 8 a.m. the next morning, asking if we could pause the divorce proceedings. She told me it was possible, but would need Jeff to agree. That's when I decided to pull out all the stops. Operation Save My Marriage was officially on. First, I tried the whole domestic goddess angle. Went to the grocery store, bought actual ingredients to cook dinner, not just microwave stuff. Found this recipe for that pasta dish he used to love back when we were dating. Showed up at our old apartment unannounced, holding bags of groceries like some Hallmark movie character. But guess what I found? Half-packed, moving boxes and bare walls. Jeff wasn't even there. He was at therapy of all places. Yeah, you heard that right. Therapy. Apparently, while I'd been writing him off as depressed and weak, he'd been actually working on himself. Found this out from his sister Katie, who I ran into at Target. She was all, "It's been amazing watching Jeff grow these past few months. The therapy really helped him work through his fears about starting over." I tried everything. Sent him this long paragraph about how we could work things out, how I'd support his career change, how we could even look at moving somewhere new together. His response? "I appreciate the offer, but I've already signed a lease in Manila. I think it's better we both move forward separately." Move forward separately? Who even talks like that? The old Jeff would have jumped at the chance to fix things. This new Jeff, with his therapy talks and his future plans, was like a completely different person. And the most annoying part? Everyone seemed to like this version better. I even tried showing up at his office, thinking maybe face to face he'd remember what we had. But he'd already quit, already put in his notice weeks ago. His old coworker told me he'd had this goodbye lunch and everything. Didn't invite me, obviously. Said he seemed really excited about his new chapter. The final straw was when I went back to our apartment one last time, thinking I could catch him packing. Instead, I found him laughing on some video call, probably with his new company, looking happier than I'd seen him in years. He didn't even seem surprised to see me there. Just calmly asked what I needed and if I wanted to take any of the stuff he was planning to donate. That's when it hit me. I wasn't the main character in this story anymore. While I'd been playing checkers with my social media posts and office flirtations, Jeff had been playing chess. All those nights I thought he was just hiding from our marriage problems. He was building his exit strategy. Every time I dismissed his silly coding courses, he was actually creating his escape route. Even Kyle noticed something was off with me. Asked if I wanted to grab coffee like we used to. But honestly, the thrill was gone. What was the point of trying to make Jeff jealous if he was literally about to move to another continent? The guy who was supposed to be my backup plan suddenly felt like a consolation prize I didn't even want. Ashley tried to cheer me up, saying I was better off without a guy who'd run away to Asia instead of fighting for his marriage. But sitting in her apartment that night, watching Jeff's goodbye post appear on my timeline through a mutual friend's share, I had this sinking feeling that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the one who got away here. It's been 6 months since Jeff left for the Philippines. 6 months of watching him live his best life through mutual friends' social media because he still has me blocked on everything. Want to know the most annoying part? He's actually doing well. Like, really well. Not the sad ex-husband eating microwave dinners alone in some sketchy apartment that I'd imagined. No, Jeff's out here posting pictures from different beaches every weekend, making friends with other digital nomads, still a cringe term if you ask me, and looking annoyingly fit and happy. Our old friend Rachel visited him last month. Apparently, his apartment has this rooftop pool and costs like a quarter of what we used to pay for our place. She came back going on and on about how transformed he was, how he'd found himself. Gag me. Meanwhile, Kyle? Total bust. The minute I was actually single and available, he started getting really busy with work and focusing on himself. Classic. Turned out he had a girlfriend the whole time anyway, some college senior he'd been dating for 2 years. Cool. Thanks for that, universe. The friend group's basically split in half. My side gets drinks and talks about how Jeff's probably just putting on a show. Definitely depressed in his little bachelor pad. Probably can't even handle the culture shock. His side, well, they're literally booking flights to go visit him. Even Matt's planning a boys' trip for New Year's. Like, who actually follows through with those plans? I tried dating again, even made a Hinge profile, but every time I start talking to someone new, they eventually ask what happened with my marriage. What am I supposed to say? Oh, my husband told me he was struggling mentally, so I checked out of the marriage, tried to make him jealous with a younger guy, filed for divorce thinking he'd beg me to stay, and instead he moved to Southeast Asia and now works remotely making more money than when we were together. Yeah, that goes over real well. Ashley keeps saying I dodged a bullet, that any guy who runs away to another country clearly has issues. He's just one of those weird passport bros now, and he'll probably come crawling back when he realizes what he lost. But here's the thing she doesn't get. Jeff's not coming back. He's not missing me. He's not struggling. He's not any of the things we keep saying he must be. Last week, he posted something about letting go of old stories we tell ourselves and choosing growth over comfort. Got like 200 likes. Pretty sure it was about me, but I can't even comment to defend myself because, still blocked. The worst part is seeing all these random girls commenting with heart eyes emojis on his photos. Like, he's not even that cute in that sunset picture at that infinity pool. Okay, maybe he is, but whatever. I still catch myself checking his LinkedIn sometimes, the only place he hasn't blocked me. He got promoted last month, something about exceeding performance expectations and innovative solutions. Meanwhile, I'm still at the same desk, in the same job, eating lunch alone because Kyle switched departments. Everyone keeps telling me I need to move on and focus on my own journey. Easy for them to say. They're not watching their ex-husband literally living out some kind of digital nomad fairy tale, while they're stuck explaining to their mom why they're spending another holiday season single. So yeah, that's how I ended up here. Single, bitter, and watching the man I thought would never leave me thrive halfway across the world. And the really messed up part? Deep down in those moments when I'm being honest with myself at 2 a.m., I know I did this. I just thought I'd be the one with the better ending.